You are not growing muscle because you are not eating enough or you're not pushing yourself hard enough in the gym. Eating enough comes down to tracking what you eat every single day so that you remain in a calorie surplus. Pushing yourself hard enough comes by tracking what you lift every single workout so that you're doing more and you're lifting heavier every single week. In this video, I will explain what I've learned over the last 7 years has allowed me to add 40 pounds of lean muscle mass to my frame. In doing so, I hope that you can cut down your learning curve so that you can start seeing gains faster and break through any plateau that you might be in right now. If you want even more information about anything I talk about in this video, you can find that linked in the description below. It'll take you to my community where you'll be surrounded by others just like you. Oh, and it's free. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? So if you're not seeing any muscle growth, it's probably from one of these three things. I'm going to go over mindset, how to fix it, nutrition, why it's 80% of the results you see, and I'm going to go over exercise and what you should be focusing on to see the progress you want to see. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about, which is a central theme about mindset, is awareness. Okay, awareness is the first step in making any change in a habit, mental landscapes, or anything of that nature. You need to build awareness around the subject. And so what does that mean? Well, that means becoming more mindful of the thoughts while they're happening. And you can practice this with mindfulness or mindful meditation. But in this sense, we don't necessarily need to do that. We just need to become more aware and more cognizant of the thoughts that are holding us back. So, thoughts, what kind of thoughts? Thoughts like, I can't eat enough. I'm a hard gainer. I can't gain weight. I am small. Are you aware of these thoughts when you have them? If you've been trying to gain weight for a while now, or maybe you see yourself in the mirror and you make a quick judgment and some sort of thought like this goes through your head, these are unproductive thoughts and should be labeled as such. Okay? So the first step is awareness, and then the next step in the process is labeling them. Is this a productive thought? Am I getting closer to my goals by having these thoughts? Because when you have thoughts, you either entertain them or you throw them out. And so, are you entertaining these thoughts more often than you're throwing them out? Because our thoughts follow our actions. And if we are thinking these thoughts all the time, then our actions are not going to lead us in a direction that's going to change how we see ourselves. So this is the first step of mindset, is changing these things, becoming aware of them, labeling them as productive or unproductive. And then the next thing we could do to then break these thoughts down, I like to do it with logic. It's like, I can't eat enough. What does that mean? I can't eat enough? Eat enough for who? Eat enough for my goals. Okay, I can't eat enough for my goals. What do I need to eat? How much do I need to eat to achieve my goals? It's like, well, okay, I need 3,000 calories a day to maintain my weight. So if I want to build muscle, I need to be eating 3,200 calories a day. Okay, why can't I eat 3,200 calories a day? Is there a physiological reason? Is it physically impossible for me to eat 3,200 calories a day? No? So, gone. We don't, that thought is just a thought. It's not true. I'm a hard gainer. What does that mean? And just like go through this process to where you just break down these thoughts and realize that they're not like, it's not physically impossible for me to gain weight. So why can't I gain weight? Okay, I just need to do these steps. And through doing that, you can build a plan and a direction to go in. Another strategy we can take is visualization. Who do I want to be and how can I work towards that? And it starts, changing your mindset starts with changing how you see yourself. And if I can see myself 6 months, a year, 5 years later, visualize that person and do this to yourself as well. Visualize the person you want to be in 6 months, 1 year, 5 years' time. Use AI to help you with this. Have ChatGPT make you a visualization manifest to read every morning and every night. Try out this prompt, copy this prompt and punch it into ChatGPT with the context that is needed and where you want to be, who you want to become. Read it every day and every night to just reinforce this mindset, how you see yourself. If I want to be 180 pounds, benching 315, squatting 405, have ChatGPT kind of work with you to build a manifest that you read every single day. This is a super powerful strategy to direct you and keep you habitually working towards your goals every single day. Try this. Do it for 30 days and tell me you're not mentally way more locked in than you were 30 days prior. So when talking about mindset, it starts with awareness. Start cluing in to the thoughts that you're having that are holding you back. Then take those thoughts, break them down with logic. Is this true? Is it physically impossible? Does it go against a law of physics for me to be able to do this? No? Then there's nothing but you holding your back. And then reinforce everything that we've talked about with your own personal manifest. Have ChatGPT make it for you. Make it so easy, it is impossible for you to fail. So, nutrition. Nutrition is 80% of the results that you see. If this is 100%, nutrition is 80%. You can work out as often as you want, as hard as you want, and if you're not eating enough protein or calories, you are not going to gain a bunch or if any muscle. For example, every single time that I'm lifting and I'm not seeing consistent strength increases, the first thing I go to is, okay, do I need to up my calories? How consistent have I been with tracking my calories? And it always comes back to how many calories I'm eating, because I'm typically under eating and not seeing the strength gains that I want. So the first thing I do is increase my calorie intake. So the next thing I want to talk about is protein and the requirements for muscle building. If you are not eating enough protein, then your muscle and strength increases will suffer. Protein is the building blocks of muscles, so it makes sense to prioritize that when we're talking about nutrition. But how much do you need? So it is a commonly accepted generalization to say that you need 1 gram per pound of body weight. But what we find in the literature is that this is too much. This is well over what you need per day. However, I don't have a problem with that. I think that's totally fine. The only time it matters is if you are trying to cut weight or if you are some sort of endurance athlete and trying to prioritize running, you should probably lower protein to the minimum required for maximum muscle growth and focus more on your energy supplies such as carbs and fat. That aside, the minimum that you should be eating per day to maximize muscle growth is 0.73 grams per pound of body weight. So for a 150-pound man, that is about 110 grams per day. For a 180-pound man, that is about 131 grams of protein per day. What this means is that you don't need any freaking protein powder. Stop buying supplements that you don't actually need. 131 grams of protein. Now, I might be far in my own category, but that feels way easier to eat than 180 grams. 131 grams, that's like a pound of chicken, just about. That's pretty easy to hit if you're prioritizing protein every single meal. 110 grams, are you joking? That is so easy to hit. So what this means, this 0.73, that is the minimum you should be hitting per day to maximize muscle growth. After that, it is a steep plateau. So you can stop stressing so much about protein if you were and just hit 0.73 grams per pound of body weight. It's easy, shouldn't be hard. Eat your eggs, milk, have protein with every single meal, and this would be very, very easy for you. The next thing, the final thing, calorie surplus. I'll ask you, do you think you need a calorie surplus? And if so, how much of a calorie surplus do you need to maximize muscle growth? 1,000? 500? You actually don't need any calorie surplus. Calories do not affect muscle growth. If calories affected muscle growth positively, then obese people would be absolutely jacked underneath that fat, and they aren't. So technically, you don't need any calorie surplus. However, calorie counting and tracking is a very fickle bitch because it's not an exact science. It's more of a point and adjust. I recommend somewhere between these two. So live somewhere in here between 0 and 250. I try to stick around a 200 calorie surplus, and this will vary by person. Start tracking and eating in a surplus around 250. Do that for 2 weeks, see how your body responds. After 2 weeks, you should have gained at least 1 pound. Okay, weigh yourself often. If you have lost weight, increase it. If you've gained more than a pound, then I want you to decrease it. Okay, it's not an exact science. So, what did we cover? We covered nutrition is 80% of the results that you see. Pay attention to it. Protein requirements, you don't need that much, 0.73 grams per pound. And you also don't need a calorie surplus. This should be great news to you. You don't have to gorge yourself on protein. You don't have to have some huge calorie surplus. As a skinny guy who finds it hard to eat a bunch, this is just a godsend. So, moving on. We're going to talk about exercise and the things you should focus on there. All right, let's talk about exercise. I know this looks like a lot, but I'm going to break it down as simply as I can. The number one thing that you should be focused on when you're working out is progressive overload. This is doing more each week. This is adding weight or reps every single week. And so I made this little graph to break it down, how it should look if there's any confusion on your part. So week 1, let's say this is bench press. Week 1, first set was 135 for 4. Second set, you back down because that was very hard. So your second set was 125 for 6. And you're within a rep range of 4 to 6 reps. At that 6 reps, you move up in weight. You're at 6 reps here. So the next week, you're going to add 5 pounds and do 130 for 4, or at least attempt it. But you got 135 for 5. So you added a rep here and you added weight here for week 2. Week 3, you added another rep here, but you didn't add reps or weight here. That's fine. Week 4, you added weight because you're at 6 reps. So you're at 140 now, and you hit 2 more reps on 130. So you added weight and you added reps. That is progressive overload. That is how you go from 135 to 225 to 315. It's slow, but it works. This is how you gain muscle. If you're gaining strength, you are gaining muscle in the long term. The next thing we're talking about is volume. Volume is the sum of your reps and your weight that you do within a workout. Going back to our previous example, 135 times 4 plus 125 times 6 is 1290. That was our volume for that movement for that week. Week 2, we went down in volume, but that's okay because we went up in reps and up in weight. Volume isn't always going to be linear. It's going to be up and down, but the general trend each month should be up. So at the start of the month, we're at 1290. The end of the month, we're at 1340. That's 150 pounds more at the end of the month. If we zoom out, our volume should be relatively linear. Micro scale, it's going to be up and down, and that's totally fine. The next thing is fatigue. So typically when you do more volume, your fatigue is going to be higher. So let's say we doubled this amount of sets that we did this week, then our fatigue is going to be much higher. So at 1340, our fatigue might be here. Double this, let's say we're at 2680, which is double that. Then our fatigue is going to be here. Why is this important? Well, if our fatigue, let's say it's our stimulus to fatigue ratio, if our fatigue is up here, that means we need more time to recover to be able to do this weight again. So instead of being fully recovered by the next workout in 2 or 3 days, you might need a full 5 days to be super fresh and ready to lift very heavy again. So why does this matter? If we're getting the most stimulus with the least amount of fatigue, which is about this area, that's what the orange is, okay? This is here. And this, let's call that here. Low fatigue, low volume, high fatigue, high volume. So you've got one group doing the low fatigue, lower volume, that's the orange, and you have one group doing the high fatigue, high volume, which is the pink. Like I was talking about, you need more time to recover. With this amount of recovery, they're only recovered up to this point, okay? So when they work out again, they're going to have lower performance. And that compounds each week, as we can see, versus the other group who had lower fatigue and lower volume is fully recovered, so they're able to hit this every single week, getting the maximum stimulus every single time they go to work out. That is significant because over time, this really builds up. You keep your fatigue low, you keep your performance and stimulus high, so you're adding weight every single week. I initially started with this style of lifting, the lower volume, lower fatigue. I jumped onto the bandwagon a year and a half to 2 years after I started with this of the bodybuilding approach to lifting, which brought me down this high fatigue path. I spent one summer doing push-pull legs, lifting very heavy every single time I went to the gym, to the point where I overtrained and I couldn't even pick up my warm-up weight on deadlift. That is how significant this is. And it took me 6 years to come back to this. And the progress that I'm seeing rivals my newbie gains. I cannot speak more favorably of this style of lifting. Do this. Do your 2 sets, 4 to 8 reps. That is what I'm recommending to you. Do that and just see your weights and your muscle just explode when you follow proper nutrition. Okay, the final thing I want to talk about is rest times. And the typical guideline is between 3 and 5 minutes when you're lifting pretty heavy. I typically don't dip below 5 minutes because I just feel the most ready at 5 minutes. And you can play this by ear, you can play this by feel, whenever you feel the most ready. But just to break this down, to make it make more sense of why waiting longer is more beneficial, I'll do that now. So let's say I did 135 for 6 on my first set. I'm gonna wait 3 minutes, 4 minutes, or 5 minutes. If I waited 3 minutes, my muscles are relatively recovered, but I could have rested another minute or 2 and gotten better results. So 135 for 6 on the first, rested for 3 minutes, I could probably get 135 for 4. Okay, that's 2 reps less. If I waited for 4 minutes, I could get 135 for 5. If I waited 5 minutes, I could get 135 for 6. Resting more time typically lets your muscles be able to lift very heavy again. They're more recovered. If we take this to an extreme, let's say I did an all-out failure set and I got 145 for 6. If I took this to extreme and waited 24 hours for recovery, I could probably get 145 for 6 again. But we can't wait that long. We're working out, so we wait 5 minutes, and that's typically diminishing returns after that point. Or just people don't want to be in the gym for 6 freaking hours. Yeah, so follow progressive overload, keep your volume low, fatigue low, so that you can get the max stimulus every single workout, and then rest for 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how much you need to recover. Okay, Jared, now I know what to do, and I know how to do it, but I still want your help. Awesome. If that's you, I would love to help you. And I have some pretty severe discounts going on right now. So be decisive, go to the description, book a call with me right now. And at worst, you leave the call with a direction in which to go for the next 4 to 6 months to achieve your goals. That's if you even don't want to work with me. So book a call with me below and let me help you. Just go book a call and I can help you with your goals if you just go to the description, click the link, book a call with me tomorrow or the next day or the next day. Just go book a call. Why are you still here? Book a call. Go book a call. My phone's not ringing. Go book a call. Okay. What are you still doing here? Get out of here.